Would you feel less stressed if you knew how to eliminate waste and rework on the job in other areas of your life? What if you knew how to create transferable wealth? Let me explain that. Transferable wealth means adapting new ways of doing things that will increase your value to current and future employers. Your owners decided to implement a new method of doing business. It has the capacity to deliver huge benefits for the company and for you. The system will help you protect everybody's job security, and it has the potential to positively influence your future prosperity. As the title indicates, today's subject is change. But why change and why now? This important question is best answered by first understanding people who have the whole change process mastered, children. A colleague once said, nobody really welcomes change except for wet babies. So let's have a closer look at why we as adults often resist change. I remember watching my granddaughter draw stick figures. In the eyes of the naive art movement, her drawings would be considered impressive. You've probably seen naive art on those Life is Good t-shirts. Most adult artists would give anything to draw with the freedom and simplicity of children, but they can't. They know too much about their subject. In a sense, knowing inhibits creativity. But the reverse is also true. Learning disrupts knowing. That's why some folks would rather fake it than admit to their uncertainty. Adults resist learning about things that might overturn what they already know. The reason children learn faster is they don't carry the extra burden of first having to unlearn. The willingness to learn follows a classic bell curve, rapid from infancy and on into early adulthood. But in the middle, our willingness to learn gradually tapers off. Finally, in the golden years, decline can turn into free fall. If you're a history buff, you've recognized a similar pattern in the rise and fall of great civilizations such as the Greek, Roman, and British empires. Without intervention, a company's lifespan will follow a similar curve. History suggests that human development and demise move hand in hand with our willingness to learn. What implications does the process of change hold for you and your company? We've all heard of small entrepreneurial companies like Apple that because of remarkable ideas grew to be mighty corporations. Just look at how Apple's iPhone and iPod have overshadowed their very successful laptop. But even the most powerful will fail if they become comfortable with the status quo. Without continuous improvement, companies behave like grumpy old people, too set in their ways to embrace change. In keeping with the natural order of learning, as people and companies decline, others with less experience and fewer assets will pass them by. It's a fact. The larger a company grows, or the older a person gets, the more complicated change becomes. Now, is the bell curve unavoidable? Not for companies and people who commit to continuous improvement and lifelong learning. In this decade, companies won't grow or even survive unless employees master the discipline of perpetual change. People erroneously assume that knowledge is always going to be a source of power. Once upon a time, it was true. During the industrial age, leaders were expected to know more than their employees, but the industrial age is long gone. Unfortunately, remnants of its outdated habits continue to haunt the workplace. If I were still consulting, my business card might read corporate exorcist. Dysfunctional industrial age thinking drains profits, and it can threaten the company's viability. One of the most troublesome ghosts is the notion that people at the top and those with experience will always know best. The world is changing so fast, nobody in their right mind should feel certain of anything. Who can predict what local or offshore competitors will do next? And who knows what game-changing legislation the government is dreaming up? When companies and adults consider themselves in the know, they feel no pressure to learn. The industrial age ghost of knowledge means power is still active. Given the whirl of changes happening all around us, to expect continued success while behaving in ways more suited to a bygone age makes no sense at all. Here's the bottom line to personal and corporate survival. Not knowing is a new and more dependable position of power, provided you replace your trust in knowledge and experience with processes for finding out and taking action faster than the competition. Now, this represents a 180-degree mindset shift, and it's not going to be easy to achieve. Remember, we're adults, and letting go is a problem. The manufacturing industry learned the process lesson more quickly than others. We've all seen gadgets on TV, and we asked ourselves, how can they possibly sell that thing for $29.95? The answer is very simple. To survive global competition, manufacturers had to relentlessly pursue continuous improvement. A deeper explanation for the lowering of product pricing is that process discipline was introduced to the shop floor. Manufacturers who didn't make the process discipline transition were forced out of business. Process discipline maximizes productivity. It eliminates waste and rework and helps predict outcomes. Unfortunately, in many non-manufacturing businesses, the impact of a process revolution has not yet occurred. Waste and rework are still considered a normal cost of doing business. That industrial age attitude leaves companies and everybody in them vulnerable. For companies and employees wanting to secure their economic viability, the only choice is to aggressively pursue continuous improvement. Your company has made a decision to adapt such a system. Are you up to the challenge? A metaphor that describes a balanced approach to inspired leadership and process discipline is that of a jazz band transitioning into an orchestra. To grow, jazz band-oriented improvisation must give way to the discipline of following a written score. Because people who play by ear can't deliver what's been written, they won't be capable of making the transition. Now, that doesn't mean they're less talented or poor performers. Some of the greatest musicians in the world can't read music. But if they can't read music, they're more suited to jazz band environments. They'll never play in an orchestra. In orchestras, the composer, conductor, and each musician has a unique role to play, and they depend on each other to play their assigned parts as written. Both groups have a passion for music, but their method of expression is quite different. Your company has adopted a system that balances passion and process discipline. The insight and skills you're about to learn will pay off at home as well as at work. The next 20 years will be unlike any period in human history. In his book, futurist David Houle has given the coming decade a label. He calls it the shift age. Economically, politically, and socially, the ground is shifting under our feet. Houle says that our time will be regarded by future historians as one of the most significant periods in our history. New orders are always born of chaos, so buckle up. You're in for the ride of your life.